Welcome everybody to NoCoders Office Hours, episode number 195. I'm your host, Tanya, and I'm here with our members, Jesus, Ben, and Thomas. We're going to get started in just a moment, but first, if you have never joined us for Office Hours before, you are missing out. We invite our members on our Zoom 6 times per week, and they can ask us any Bubble questions they want. Even if it's just tangentially related to Bubble, they can ask it. We can't promise that we have all of the answers because nobody has all of the answers, but we do a really good job of following up and making sure that we give direction and also answers whenever we can. We do a good job. So if you would like to join us for office hours, you can go to pronocoders.com and sign up. And you can join us as early as this evening is our next one. We're having one on Monday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time now. So 2 in one day. Perfect. Gentlemen, do we have any questions to start out with today?
Oh, I got many of those.
Okay, let's go for it. Jesus.
So my first question is in regards to Algolia. I know it has come up a few times now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm super confused.
All right. I'm wondering, Thomas, did you ever get the zero code plugin for Algolia working?
Yeah, I did. And then my thing expired. It's like a few day trial. What?
Oh, like the Algolia trial expired?
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
Jesus, where did you get to? To what point?
So I have set up the APIs. I have set up the backend workflows for the most part. I'm not sure where to get the object ID that is required for the backend workflow.
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of trouble with that. I ended up figuring it out. I just have to go in and find it. But it's been a while since I dabbed it. So you went through all the documentation all the way to the end?
Yeah.
Successfully, and you just couldn't get things to display?
No.
Okay.
No, because on the API workflow, I don't think is updating correctly.
Oh, you're doing it on an API workflow. I don't recall doing that myself, so I don't know if that gets in the way. But
because on the documentation towards the end, it said that I had to set up 2 API workflows, one for update and one for delete objects.
Huh. Yeah, I don't remember doing that. This was a few months ago, so they may have updated since, but yeah, give me like a moment. I have to find this. I don't know if you want to take another question. Maybe I can just get right back to this once I figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus, did you have another question while Thomas looks for his reference?
Well, yeah, it's actually in regards to another API for Encharge.
Okay, perfect. I'm feeling more and more confident these days about APIs, y'all. I'm pretty excited about it. Let's do it.
So the API, every time somebody signs up, is creating a user in Encharge, but it's not sending the data such as like first name, last name, email address.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Hi, Leanne. It's great to meet you. Yes, please, Ben.
Hi. So first time here, so
awesome.
I don't know
Welcome.
how it's working.
Yeah, so we take questions one by one. So Jesus was the first one in the waiting room this morning, so he gets to go first. And we spend about 10 to 15 minutes per person is my goal. And then we make sure everybody has time. And office hours last for, if we can make it last at least an hour. So over the holidays, we were finding they were a bit shorter, but I expect them to start lengthening again. So at least 1 hour for office hours, and then we move into an after hours section. So once the hour is up, I'll wrap up the recording, and then we go off recording, and that's when people usually turn on their cameras and hang out, and it's much less formal since we're not recording then. So that's how it works.
Let's see.
Awesome. Okay, so Encharge create contact, and you know that it's sending this sending this. And did you connect this through the API connector?
Yes, I'm using their ingest API.
Okay.
So
And-
I can see here that actually,
And just making sure this is all test data that we're looking at, right?
yeah, it's just this
Okay.
data.
Okay, cool.
I don't even remember which one were created. Okay, so here, it was created through the API, but there's
No information.
correct.
All right, so let's go back to your API connector. Okay, and go ahead and expand the create contact. Okay, so you've got your token there. And I'm just going to remind you that you'll need to change out your token since we're recording this, but we'll get it working first.
Yeah, I would change them.
Okay, so so go ahead and uncheck the last name where it says private for the first name, last name, and user ID. All right, and then scroll up one so that's working. And use it. Okay, so then let's go ahead and do you have a user with all of that information in there? Let's maybe change the information in the body parameters. So where it says test@tt.com, you can change that to something else. And then So I think one of the problems will be, I think you need those quotation marks to be in the JSON itself. So around the green, I think you need to put the quotation marks in the JSON there.
Like here?
And then you can take them out of the values. Okay, and now let's just go ahead and reinitialize the call. Body status. All right, now let's go back into Encharge and see if it created the one with the AASDS.
It didn't even trigger. No, it should have been this one, 1208.
All right, so it's not taking the first name, last name. So go back and let's reinitialize, but don't close out of the initialization too fast. Let's read what it's saying. So Bonnie did not return an error. Bonnie success. Okay, so it's definitely saying it's receiving it, but it's definitely not receiving it. Okay, that's frustrating. Yeah, let's see. No, that's not telling us anything. Let's go back to the documentation. I don't. And then, yeah. Oh, wait, where they have documentation specifically for Bubble?
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, let's scroll down.
Now, the problem with their documentation is, well, not the problem, but I did the exact same thing as the documentation stated.
What? Wait, hang on a second. Okay, keep Okay, keep going. That's a little different. Okay.
Now the support told me not to use this URL here and use their ingest API URL, however you said that.
So which support? Encharge support?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're supposed to be doing a post. So go back to your API connector. I just want to have a look. Scroll up. So it's post. Can you put, do you need to put the /people at the end of the URL? Have you tried that?
No, I haven't tried that. So I'm guessing reinitialize.
Yep.
Save.
And then go check.
No.
Nope, still didn't work. Why not?
So I tried using, there's a website that you can get like a webhook and connect it and see what data is sending.
Yeah, we could do that. We could, well, no, because you want to send it into Encharge, which you're doing it the right way. Like we could just get a webhook back once it's added, right?
So this is the data that is being sent from, what is it called? From Bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the issue is on the Encharge end or on the Bubble end.
No, well, I mean, I would definitely say it's probably from the, can you just try it, changing it instead of in, just try the API.Encharge and see if that works?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't like that. In the URL query, it should be, wait, go back, reinitialize, and let me read the error again. No, yeah, perfect. It says it wants it as API key in the URL query. Okay, so click, got it. And then scroll up. And where you have the API key where it says X-Encharge token, just change that to say API. Nope, the key, not the value. Yep, lowercase API underscore key, and try again. There we go. That looks like what we're looking for. See if that one worked. There.
Oh, yeah.
Yay, we did it.
Yeah. Oh, this is magical. Super cool. Okay.
Awesome. Perfect.
So that issue is done.
Yeah.
Tanya quickly becoming the API queen.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
It's been a long haul, it feels like. I mean, it was only 11 months ago. I literally was crying at my desk because of APIs and the API connector. So, well,
Do we have time for one more question or no?
Yeah, we will after I take a couple more questions from around the group. So I'm going to check with Ben and Thomas and see if either of you have any questions for today.
I'm all good, just hanging out.
Yep. How about you, Thomas?
I'm still looking. I'm trying to redo this plugin
Cool.
situation.
Awesome. And then Leanne and Andrew, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Am I pronouncing your name wrong, Leanne?
It's Liana.
Leanna. It's pretty.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Andrew, I know you have something for me. Leanna also does. And Leanna
Oh,
was
that's
wondering
okay. No
first.
worries.
Yeah, Leanna, you wanted to do some parallel filtering of things in a repeating group. Is that right?
Yes. I- shall I share my screen or
Yes,
how you
please.
do that? Okay. So hopefully you can see now.
Mhm.
So basically, I have a repeating group, and I have been trying to do the search for keywords so that it filters into repeating group. So repeating group consists of product, but product is also related to farm, like producer.
Mhm.
And is it possible that that I search not only I did this fuzzy search plugin, but as I see it, it searches only the fields through this product date type, but not the other related ones. Is there any way to
Gotcha. So,
to make it?
well, I think so. I'm not as familiar with fuzzy search, but my first question is, how many things do you expect to be in the database for that they'll be searching through?
I think many. So probably fuzzy search is not the best one plugin. As I read, it's up to 200 rows.
Yep,
But it's
200
supposed to be like marketplace with many products.
with many different products. Yep. So fuzzy search might not be the best. Actually, the initial question from this morning about Algolia might be an interesting one, or doing some other sneaky things that we can teach to help speed up the searches might be best. But if you show me your data tab for the product.
Okay. So it's
So it looks, were you having trouble getting it to search by farm?
yes, farm is related, and farm has own like description, for example, or name. So yeah, it would be great if I could link this search also by farm name, for example. But currently I didn't duplicate farm name. I just linked each product with the farm.
So I'm wondering if you store the farm, so a product's farm is never going to change, right?
Yes, it's always one parent.
So I might, is that the only one that you're having trouble including in there? And the search is just the farm or something else?
It's my first steps, so I don't know what future will bring, what scenarios.
Because one of the things you might do is on product, go ahead and create a new field and just call it a farm name and make it a text field. And then now what you can do is you can go back into that repeating group. And then just click into the repeating group itself. Yep. And then where it says search for products, go ahead and click there in the data source.
Here.
Yep. And then add a new constraint and choose any field. So just type any. Yep. And then contains, and then put your search for product inputs value.
I think it's this one.
Okay. And and then ignore empty constraints so that you will have a search to start with. So now what that would do is if when you're saving the product, you save the name of the farm in that field, the any field will search for the text of any of the fields on the data thing, on the record. What it does is it aggregates all of the text fields on a data type into one text field so that it makes it more searchable. It's also nice because it's not, when you do searches on any field, it's not case sensitive. So if you, do you have some data, some practice data to work with in the app data?
Yeah, I have to fill in this new fields. And
Yep. So if you want to take like, just like 2 or 3 of them and add a farm name, you can just type whatever for the farm name just to start. Hi, Callum. I'm just going to pause here and do a huge shout out and congratulations to Callum for launching his app over the weekend.
Woo!
Woohoo!
congrats.
Thank you very much.
Ooh, sorry, I had to
Available-
unmute so I could say that.
Yeah, yeah, it's like available in the App Store, available on Google Play. Go download the Circle and join us in the Circle. I'm a Circle member.
Nice. Like the
Absolutely.
TV show that
No,
my
like
wife
the
is
film.
obsessed with.
Like the
No, like the film. But yeah, no, feel free to sign up. I'll drop the link for Android and App Store in the chat for you guys.
Awesome.
Was it showing when it was
It's
empty? Oh, because you have those done.
have to remove, yeah, those
Yep.
previous
If you wanted to create a save point so you can add them back in easily, you could do that as well.
Okay.
And Ben, you're right. Like doing a workflow for that would work. So, yep, there we go.
Okay, so probably yes, those two. But this type of search, is it fast enough or really it's Algolia or this plugin that I should aim for?
Well, you just saw there was a little bit of a delay there. So fuzzy search is definitely faster, which is what is most useful. But my question to you would be, would you ever maybe want to do your filters on different fields, like on price or other things besides just
Yes. Basically, the idea was also to link
like how far away
like
it is?
maximum distance that the user wants, or like such many varieties of search or filters.
Mhm.
But it was just playing
So
around
I
with
think
it.
one of the things that might help is before you even show them a search on the page would be to narrow it down so that you're already starting with like maybe ask them like the radius of distance that they want to search, just so you narrow down the repeating group itself as much as possible, so you're not querying for all of the information from Bubble. That will help in 2 respects. It will make it faster when you do send the query to Bubble, and getting the information back will be faster, and then filtering the data on the page will be faster because there will be less to filter. So maybe as part of signing up, they could tell you where they live, and then you could initiate the search, just keep it within 100 kilometers just to start, right? And then that would help to make things faster.
Okay, so but So it's kind of on some initial pop-up, they define, or I define something, and then then this repeating group comes and loads, yeah, only when they have filled something.
Yep. And then
And imagine if I on these two, like these buttons would be some kind of filter, then I would be defining them here, somehow adding these constraints.
Yep. So any field always goes on the main constraint, but many of the other ones are going to happen in a function that we call filter. So if you click where it says search for products and then you click the more, and then you'd start typing filter. Yep. And this gives you a secondary set of constraints that you can use to filter the results. So the main constraints that you put on, the difference between what you're looking at now versus where we put the any field, is that the first set of constraints are the parameters that you're sending to Bubble in order to get the information and pull it onto the page, right? Even if you're not showing that information on the page, Bubble, when you query Bubble, will send back the information, all of the information for all of the records that qualify in those original constraints that you send. So that's why it's good to constrain the search to begin with, is because it takes less time to get the information if it's a smaller list. And then the filters that you're looking at now, they don't operate on the list until after we've retrieved the data from Bubble, and then they filter it, but on the user side of things. So it's two sets of constraints. So I totally say the more constraints that you can add to the initial search, the initial set of constraints, the better, because it'll make things faster in your app.
And like loading of the page,
right.
I don't understand with repeating groups. Does like if I show, let's say, only 4 cells, does it improve loading, or actually it's all amount of data what is there under search?
So
it determines the loading.
Yep. So pagination also helps. So you can use a fixed number of cells to show, and then use pages, like the way that Gmail works, for instance. They only show you like the first 50 emails, and then you can page through and see the next 50. And so that helps with user experience. It makes it faster. That's less about optimizing what's happening and more about optimizing the user experience. But yeah, it's a good way of doing things.
Okay, we'll keep playing around.
Yep, and just one helpful thing is to remember to check the box that says to ignore empty constraints, because if you don't ignore empty constraints, then your repeating group won't show anything at all when you load the page, because nothing will match. So.
Okay. But here I like in this constraint, I'm constraining the like distance of the farm. So farm is still related thing.
Yep. But you can grab that from there. I can show you how to do that if you want to go back into the filtered function of the repeating group. And then you can say where farm, and then is in. We might have to do an advanced filter, which is not our favorite.
It's here or
no. Let's just try is in. In, and then maybe do a search for farms. Yep. And the constraint would have to do with their address is within, and then this is where you would type the 50, like that would be the input of kilometers. Value, and then you would have to use whatever address is the reference address, probably the user's address.
And there, I need, yeah.
Yep. And then close that, click close, yep. And then search for farms, yep.
And that's working, yeah. But all these like extra layers, it is
the more of them that
slower.
Yes, the more of them that you have, the slower it will become. So, but don't let that deter you to start. It's better to get something that's working even really slow, and then we can optimize it, than it is to just allow the idea of it being slow to stop you altogether. What do you think, Callum? You agreeing, or you? Yeah, he's like nodding his head. So.
It's build a massive app and then delete 90% of it right at the end to make it work really quickly.
Okay,
Or just
so you
use
learned
reusable.
everything. Okay.
Yeah.
But so this will, if I don't have anything in this field, it will ignore these empty constraints or currently.
So click on
Under
filter.
filter.
Yeah. And click ignore empty constraints. There you go. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Let's try. I don't have any button to click.
Nope, it shouldn't require any buttons. Maybe just so the question would be, are you logged in as a user? And then does the user have an address, and do the forms have
not in.
And then also have you already, I guess you'd probably be using Bubble's API key for now, maybe.
Yes, because somehow when I put mine, it's all crashed. So.
Oh, we can help you with that too.
Yeah. Okay, I will run with someone with address. Yeah, it's working. It's at least reacting.
Yeah.
Okay, because I did through another repeating group through and through, but then it's not needed.
And then the other thing about
the other group and then related to that group. Yeah.
Yep. The other thing about when searches take time is if you show a loading animation, the user is familiar with loading animations, and that it means that the app is working. So like it's not necessarily a bad thing to have it take time. You just need to make sure that the user knows that the app is still working, because if the app is thinking but is not moving at all, they don't know that it's working. They think that it broke. So.
And in that case, you use some icon and make it animate, yeah?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what happened here with the header. This pop-up suddenly started to show, but in preview, it's luckily not there. Anyone knows? So why?
So did you add the header there, I assume, or?
Yes, I tried to add other pop-ups in header, but I didn't know how to. This comes from Bubble, like built-in.
Oh, the sign up pop-up. Yeah, so the reason it's probably hidden, like you probably have a rule to hide it, but not on page load. Like, so it's shown, it's visible on page load and then it's hidden. So that's why it's showing up right now for you on the page.
Okay,
So-
so I have to look
Oh.
through.
Yep. I'm
Okay.
gonna yeah, thank you for coming on. It's very
Thank
nice
you
to
so
meet you,
much.
Vienna. Yeah.
Me.
I'm just
It
gonna
was a
take
pleasure.
I'm just gonna take
Thank
a
you.
really quick break. I will be right back, guys. And Andrew, you're up. How can we help prototype for you today?
Well, I know we had briefly chatted about this yesterday. I don't really have necessarily anything to pull up to show. It was more just a theoretical question about kind of the best ways to go, or the best way to potentially go about how I would do something. I don't have anything built. I'm more just speculating here. But if that matters anyway. So client is somebody that I've worked for many years. They've been on Shopify and have just had like a ton of issues, and they do like kind of like HelloFresh, Blue Apron, like prepared, but they're prepared meals only. So I've talked to a few different people about like how, or looked through how some of it works with a lot of them. Now they have new meals each week, or new menus each week for Blue Apron, HelloFresh, all of those. So typically it's like they have a big library of all their meals, and they assign them to different menus, which corresponds with a week. These guys don't really necessarily do that right now. They typically have like a preset menu of about like 15 items, and then they'll take like one or two off each week and add one or two new ones, kind of swapping out the ones that are, you know, not selling as much as they used to versus the ones that are selling more now. So I guess kind of just to wrap that up, what I'm trying to figure out, and we really haven't come to a determination as to whether or not we're going to go option A, where we have pre-configured menus each week, where, you know, they could still be very similar, but they're adding like the same basic meals to a menu that corresponds with each week, or if they're going to have like one staple menu and then remove a few items and then add a few additional ones. So I guess I was just trying to figure out what would be my best workflow if I were going to do either of those options. Like, there's no proposal, there's no signed contract. This is more just determining, you know, how I would do it, that sort of thing. Like the biggest thing is, you know, let's say you've got 6 meals selected as part of your plan, and then your renewal comes up and it's processed, great. But then the next week, 2 of those items that were on your plan are no longer on the menu anymore. One, I need to figure out how to like automatically replace them with something else so that they can still renew, because it would mean that they'd have to have like a full selection. And then I guess if we look at the other option, if it were, you know, a different individual menu each week, how we can basically take the initial order, search for the next week's order, and like preset what those future selections are automatically for the customer, which they can obviously go in and make the changes to, but just sort of the best operational workflow to do that. Like I said, there's nothing aside from a bit of like Adobe XD prototyping on sort of the initial workflow, but I hit a bit of a snag where I got to that point in terms of how I should build it out.
I think Tanya's on mute still.
Sorry. Thank
There we
you. I belong to one of these meal delivery services.
So you know.
I understand this issue. Yeah, I've been late making my selections, so that some of the selections I might have selected were sold out already, but I've never not selected. But primarily because I do remember to do it at least once a month, and they usually have a month of selections ahead of time that I can make.
Right.
If I don't make any selections, then they just choose for me.
Yes, that's kind of what I was thinking, like how
But
I would
they-
potentially do that.
But they don't tell me ahead of time what those are. So like maybe it's like you're just reserving it, but you're not even showing it to the user. Right? If that makes sense. So like, because you have to reserve a variety of meals, right? It's not good enough to like not select anything for them, like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You have to select something for them because you can't give them all of one type of meal. You have to give them a variety of meals.
Yes, and I don't want to necessarily, if 2 meals get taken off, then they have 4 out of the 6 meals selected, then they don't have enough to facilitate a full order. So, hypothetically speaking, if they don't get to it in time to make those switches, depending on which way we went with this, that those 2 remaining meals need to be selected, whether it's the exact same ones, which we don't really want to do, but regardless, it still needs some sort of automatic workflow to check what is now on the menu and fill it with something that's not already in their card or whatever it is, basically.
Do you know if they're handling anything around food allergies or preferences, like in terms of like what people sign up for?
I mean, right now, and truthfully, like they're in kind of a position where they're looking to scale the business, go out for funding, all that stuff. But right now they're using Shopify and all they have is like, the product gets tagged and then there's a filter that corresponds with that. They don't have any sort of like predetermination that gives each users a profile that says they're a celiac or they like only vegetarian options or whatever that is. It's basically like, here's what's on the menu. You can filter it and pick what you want. So, part of this obviously is also to improve that entire flow and that process. So that would potentially be something, but right this very second, no, it's not a consideration.
Okay. And you said they're tagging meals, like tagging like vegetarian versus not vegetarian, vegan.
Yeah, like so in Shopify, you can either tag a meal or you can put it in a category. Like, if it was like a shopping cart for clothes, you could have a category of pants and a category of sweaters or something like that. Then within each of those, you could tag them as red, black, yellow, blue, green, etc. So they've just kind of used that built-in function to date where it's like, if it's chicken, they tag it chicken. If it's beef, they tag it beef. If it's tofu, they tag it tofu. And then they had, I don't even know if they're still using it, but they had like categories where they would have low carb meals, keto friendly meals, things like that. I don't even think they're doing it anymore, but that would be something that would improve like the user's experience for browsing different meal types.
So if they are removing a couple of meals and adding new ones, are they generally tagged the same? Like they would remove a chicken and add a new chicken?
So variable. They have like
Variable. Okay.
3,000 meals to produce every single week, and it is on a weekly recurring basis. So it's to go through every account to figure out what people's behavior is pretty much impossible at this point. But
no, I was just thinking in terms of their planning. Like, I mean, they're not switching the menu like the same day as they're doing it, right? It takes planning. You have to have things on hand. So I'm just wondering.
Well, depends on the client. Let's be honest. There's definitely been some organizational struggles. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
But so that's kind of why it's like either they're on board with having this prepared in advance so that they know what every menu is for the next 3 to 6 months, that sort of thing, or they have like their menu that's preset with products that are typically on there, and when they want to take one off, they take one off. When they want to add a new one, they add a new one, that sort of thing. My basic thought there is we just need to find a way to replace, the old one that they've taken off with the new one or something like that, basically, if that's the route they want to go.
Gotcha.
This actually sounds like fun.
I know. This sounds like fun. This is
Yeah.
like, ooh, how am I
The further I get into this project, the more and more granular and detailed I think this is going to end up getting. But
it's
fun,
going to get
for
super
sure.
granular. Like when you start talking about people wanting to sign up and they have food allergies, they have to take into consideration and things like that. Yeah, it's going to get super fun.
Well, then they have, the best part is they have like different kitchens in different provinces. So they have like certain meals that aren't available in BC that are available in Ontario. And then you've got, different suppliers, you've got different delivery people in each province and everything, and people that represent them and deal with stuff in different areas. So I'm just scratching the small surface as to like how this could potentially work before they really dive deep into it. But
got it. Well, so spinning off a standard menu to assign to all of the standard menu of things that get added when there's a gap.
yep.
I think that's doable, right? So like I'm just thinking in terms of option sets versus using data types. Like copying a list of things is actually really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do it that way. So every week or so, like you're looking out probably 4 weeks or something like that, 2 weeks.
In terms of
In terms of where your client is organized at the moment.
Oh, well, I don't want to get into that part, but let's just be hypothetical and say yes, they are organized a couple weeks in advance.
A couple weeks in advance. Okay. So like every week we're creating a new order for each subscriber.
Correct.
And that order the items that are in that order, a couple of them will become inactive. And so we could go recursively through and find any of the orders that have inactive items and then add items to fill that gap.
Yeah, so yes, I think that basically the way that it would be, the way I see this working, at least right now, the way they operate is Friday at midnight is the deadline to order. So you have to have all your selections picked by then. So nothing's going to change prior to that. Like Saturday at 12:01 a.m. to Friday at like 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, nothing's going to change between that time. So if they have an order that they're making their changes to and making their selections to, and they've got that committed, and then Friday hits, that gets processed, or sorry, Friday at midnight hits, that gets processed, and it's now a committed order of let's just call it like paid. It's now a paid order. What my thought process would be there potentially is then to create a new like editable order or draft order, and the one that's committed already has those items like saved as is. The new future order or draft order then gets those items copied over, and whatever one is then removed like from the menu, there's a hole there. And it's kind of like how do I go then through that process and edit all of those meals after I've like moved their existing selections over to the new order, basically.
Right.
Now that would also only be if we used the version where they've got a preset menu, but which is probably the way it's going to go for the time being anyway. But
Right. So I'm thinking if I have, and I will cross-reference. In this case, we'll do items, which is a list, because I'm guessing nobody's ordering 10,000 items in an order.
no, rarely. Usually from like 6 to 20 meals. It varies.
Yeah. So then now I'm looking for I'm just representing in the front end. This is probably something that's happening in the back end. But I'm doing a search for orders. Do a search for orders where the delivery is equal to a specific date, right? Let's say current date and time or whatever. And then however we do that, so then the next constraint here would be where the items filtered. Probably each items. And then I could do filtered. Say items in items. And have an active. Yes, no. Or actually, I'm just looking for any that are inactive, right? So I'm just doing a search for any orders that have inactive items. Right.
Correct. Yes, that would be now. I guess technically, if this was like the morning after everything was processed, you're looking for ones that contain the item that's no longer active, or items plural.
So then we're looking each items filtered where the active equals no. Count is greater than 0. Count is greater than 0. It doesn't like it's not resolving. But that's essentially like this is however we need to phrase it. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for orders that contain items that are inactive.
Correct. Yes. To then automatically replace that inactive item with a new active item or any active item. I was just wondering how I could randomize or make a constraint that would apply that.
Yeah, you can definitely like randomize what happens, but probably what we're looking at, instead of trying to find the orders in one search, we're just going through order by order and checking. Right. So like in a recursive workflow, we would just go one by one through the orders and say this would have order of type order, and it would be a list, and then we would take the first order, make changes to thing, and then it would be order first item, and we would change the items. So we would remove
that like inactive
ordered items filtered by inactive. No. Still doesn't like it.
So I guess maybe because it could be multiple. Is that why? Would that have to run on
exactly.
list
Yeah.
within order?
Maybe if we do make changes to a list of things. No, because then how do we get it out of there? I'm tired of this bug bubble. Not tired enough to report it to you, but get annoyed. So this order is filtered, and then let's remove list. That's what we want. So items, remove list, this orders items filtered where the active is no.
But that would remove the whole list or just that item from the list?
No, it's just going to remove the items that are active equals no.
Okay.
Right? And then what we want is we would say items, and then like we'd probably have to do this in a next step. So order count is greater than 0. Then the next step would be copy a list of things. The list of things would be your template items. And we would do a search for items where the active is equal to yes. We'd put whatever other constraints that would come from like the user's preferences or whatever here. We would sort by random. And then we would say equals items until results. Items count. So we would say like whatever their number of order is, like the user would have a number of meals they're looking for, like 10
like
per week.
say 6 or 10 or whatever. Yeah.
So 10, and then how would we do this? Let's do arbitrary text. Does that work? Will it give me arbitrary here? Yes, it will. So so in this case, we would use like the current users
Their plan
order
number constraint.
number or whatever, which is a number. So arbitrary text, their number, and then we would maybe convert to number. Let's see if we can do this here. So that's number, then we can subtract the results of step 1's items count. And then convert this to a number. So we'll search for random items that fit our search here.
Okay.
And then we'll take the number of items until the number that they order minus the ones that we already know they have that work.
Okay.
To add to copy in the items, then we have to make a change to those items. So make changes to a list of things, which would be the result of the type would be items. The list to change would be result of 2, and then we would add the result of step 1 as the order on those items.
Okay. So you're basically merging the two in step 3.
Yeah. So so we create the items here, and then we change, like we copy a list of template items.
Yeah.
And we make changes then to relate them back to the order, and then here we could make changes to another thing, which is the order itself. Or sorry, the results of step 1, and we can items add list, the results of step 3. So now that's what merges the list of items here. So we've removed items,
Right,
and then we add them back.
Right, with the new selection.
Yep.
The new random selection.
Exactly.
Got it. That makes good sense. I mean, that would be given kind of the first scenario, which is how they operate right now. So it's likely the case. The other one, I would have to put my head towards that, because it would also mean like, how does it fall into if they opened up new delivery dates and all that fun stuff as well. So.
Oh yeah.
I have a
Yeah,
feeling.
I don't know how my other one does it because I actually have 2 meal delivery services. One's not a subscription. One I have to like actively order every week, but I have multiple days that I can order. And it's like, which weirds me out because it's less restrictive than the other one, which is very straightforward.
Yeah, it is a little bit. It is a little bit of a weird one for sure. I mean, and there's a couple that I've seen, and then you can see in like the URL parameters that it copies over like the hashed version of like the date, so you can see what menu it's like connecting itself
What's
to based on the
possible.
date constraints and stuff. So, but my thoughts are just more like logistically how they actually deal with that. But
Yeah.
that's their problem at least. But to some extent, it does fall back into the technology side of things. So if I'm potentially looking at doing that, I want to like factor in all of that stuff as well. So it seems like a very popular growing topic these days because nobody has like an out of the box solution for like that configurable subscription model that actually works with a lot of people's businesses. I actually had somebody reach out to me saying that they saw the Northern Raised app on the Bubble app of the day and have been following us for the past 6 months, and then saw that we just rebuilt it again on Bubble, and now have asked if I could template it for them or build it for them as well. So we'll see.
That's awesome. No, like that's really cool.
Yeah, it was a very random lookout, but also weird that that somebody's just been stalking your every move for the last 6 months. But hey, we'll take it.
I recently like realized how many hours of video there is of me now on the internet and got a little bit freaked out. It was like, because I tend to hold back, like I don't post very often anywhere, right? And so yeah,
Right.
office hours was sort of a commitment to go live in public, at least with my voice, for many, many, many hours.
Yes, no kidding.
Awesome. Well, that was fun. This kind of thing. I love doing this kind of thing. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll see kind of like where it ends up with them, but I'll have other stuff for other projects to submit in the next little bit as well. I've got some API stuff with QuickBooks, and yeah, that's fun. That has not been a great experience yet. So
oh no, I heard
Yeah.
QuickBooks like
There's just
I
so
heard
much
there
to
was
it.
a QuickBooks plugin that wasn't even in use on an app, and Eli said it crashed the whole app. Like it
Oh,
wasn't even being used. It was just present on the app and somehow managed to crash the whole thing.
wow.
I was like, ouch.
Lovely. Yes, I've
Yeah.
looked at like the manual sort of API version of it, which I'm still kind of playing around with, but I also used I'm gonna have to refresh my memory on what the OAuth sort of plugin / platform is that I decided to use
Yeah.
for these. I can't remember. It's like one in the App Store. Just pulling it up right now quickly, but anyway, they do like the OAuth that you can authenticate it and then use it with a bunch of other things thereafter. Oh, Pathfix, that's what it was.
Oh yeah, lots of people love Pathfix.
Yeah, that was great, and they've been super helpful at like trying to help get the actual like API connections and things thereafter, and like getting it all working thereafter. And they even said like if there's an OAuth you want us to add, just let us know. It usually takes us like 48 hours to do it, which is fantastic. So
Very cool.
yeah, they've been great. But then it's on me after that to do what I want with the actual connection, and that's where the struggle begins.
Yep.
But aside from that, it's been good.
Awesome. Well, we're going to move into the after hours section. Nobody go anywhere. But that means that we're leaving those who might be watching the replay of this next week. We will be back for the next one, which will be at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, and we'll see you then.
Awesome.